Welcome back to True Turnings. My name is Dennis. Right off the bat, I want to say sorry for the delay in getting this video out. It's been a little bit of some design issues and getting everything kind of set up to get to this stage. It's been a process. As any of you have watched my previous videos have seen, I'm doing what's called a Window to the World Pin Blank series. And basically what that is, let me get the lathe turned off and get a start here, is, as you can see, the blank that I am CNCing some windows into, and I do a label cast in it. This one's got an American flag in it, just in some regular maple. I've got one of my favorite authors in this one. That is a Norman Rockwell picture that's in that one. Same as that. Another flag as well. Then we're going to go ahead and get them turned, and hopefully they end up looking a little bit better than the initial prototype did. That was all done by hand and turned in some Irish bog oak. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to just kind of go through in the video of getting this one roughed into shape, see how it comes out. This one I'm going to do a little bit thicker of a body like I like my Sierra blanks to be done. But then I'm going to turn one of the other ones as well, and I'm going to go with that one, bushing the bushing, just to see how much of that wood is still left in it, because I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. So stick around. That's what I'm going to kind of go through. I'll go over just a process because I'll probably speed through this, because if you've seen one turning video, you've seen 1,000 of them. There's really nothing different here. It's not a machinist video, no uniqueness coming out of wood for the most part. I'm using my trusty Harbor Freight lathe. It's the mini one, the 10 by 18. Not a sponsor, but I do like this lathe as just a starter when I get back in it, till I honestly can afford to upgrade and get back into my either my Rikon or a Jet. But the Harbor Freight one does amazing, so I'm using that. And my preferred tool of choice just for roughing out pens is my Easy Wood Tools. Also, not a sponsor, but feel free to send me a link if you guys would like to be. I love their Carbide tools. This is one I've used, and I use it for just about everything. Their C1 is just their round. It's a great tool. As you'll see, it'll make easy work of this blank in no time. So let me go ahead and get started on getting this roughed. I'll probably, like I said, speed through this, and we'll come back and do a little talking at the end of it once I've got it down, and who knows, maybe I'll finish it here as well. All right, let's get this started. Speed-wise, a lot of people will start with these, and they'll start at a slow RPM and speed up. But on the Harbor Freight, it's belt-driven. You've got to loosen the motor and get the belt. I learned, especially with the Carbide, since Carbide likes a faster speed for cutting than high-speed steel would, I use this at its max RPM, and I'll have to look up and see what that is and add to the video, because I don't remember what the max speed of the good old Harbor Freight mini lathe is. Probably not anywhere near what it's rated, but I go ahead and I turn everything at high speed. I am wearing safety gear, and I am wearing my turner's smock just to keep some of the material from going up into the face. So let's go ahead and get started on this. Okay, just about got around a couple of flat spots. One thing I do want to point out as I'm turning this one, sorry about the audio fade there, is you can see my spacing is not exactly perfect there. I've got a little more wood on this side than the opposite side, and I can tell that was one of my first attempts at it. This is the one I probably should have used. It's a lot more even, as is that one. So this will definitely be a prototype, again, just to kind of see how she turns out. But I wanted to point out there that by design, that window should have been more centered in the blank. But not being a CAD guy to begin with, learning how to lay something out in CAD, bringing it over into the CAM software, and getting it cut on the CNC has also been a learning process, as you'll see some of those videos below. And I've got a few more of those in the pipeline as well. Let me get back in and get this finished rough turned. Now you can see what I'm kind of doing here is I'm starting to get my rough finish shape into it. I do this while I still have a decent amount of material on the blank, just so I can eyeball it a little bit better. And as I bring it down closer to the bushings. Not sure if it's the preferred way or the suggested way, but it is my way. And with everything we do in turning, it's, you know, do what gets you the finished product that you need for whatever it is that you are turning. That's the important part in it. It's art. You're not creating from a blueprint and building a house from someone else's design. You're making something completely on your own. So there is no right or wrong way for that design to come apart. Now when it comes to tool usage, you get a little bit more strict on that, simply from a safety standpoint. But even then, especially with these carbides, you can cut them at just about any angle and you're going to be fine. It's recommended and kind of preferred to come straight at it. But as you can see here, I'm lifting it slightly to get a little bit lower cut, just because I'm at the moment too lazy to stop it and lower the tool rest. But let's take a look and see where that blank is at now and see how she's looking. Yeah, she's starting to actually look really good. I'm getting closer to my bushings and I'm getting really close to that final shape that I like. I don't like on a Sierra pen just to be straight bushing to bushing, where I'm backwards. Any slim line or fun lines that I make, I do prefer those bushing to bushing. But on a Sierra, a Gatsby, a Diplomat, a Monarch, any of the Sierra tube families, I like them a little bit thicker. I think it gives it a slight better design curve. But again, if you're making one of these for yourself, you turn it to how you want it to look, or more importantly, if you're doing it to sell, what your customers want and what they buy. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to get this finish turned down to shape, and then we're going to sand it, and I'm going to see how well she finishes, because like I said, my resin hasn't been curing as hard as it used to in a couple days, and I'm not used to that, so I'm not sure how well this one's really going to polish and finish up. But I'm going to finish it anyway just to see. But I'm not expecting a Ferrari showroom shine from this. You know, maybe a domestic soccer mom family car finish is the best I might get out of this one. And if that's the case, that's okay. It becomes one of my everyday carry pens. It's mostly just to see how well the CNC blank comes out. And like I said, I can already see that I don't like my full layout on it. I don't have it centered in the blank, so I'm going to have to go back to my CAD for that. But that's okay. This is something very new to me in laying out CNC programs. So I did not expect it to be perfect right off the bat. Because heck, if it was that easy, those jobs wouldn't be paying $100,000 a year. And kind of wish I would have stayed with that when I was younger. But that's part of life. You deal with it and move on. High spot in there. Hopefully this is still in focus. You can't really look up and see where my monitor is. One thing you got to watch out for, and especially using carbides and sharps. I just turned this one after sharpening it. They will remove a lot of material really quick. So, that said, I'm really close to my bushings here on the edge. Oh, I just knocked the camera. Sorry about that. See where I'm at here. Slight bit more off, and then I'm going to be ready to sand this. So, let me go ahead here and just trim this a little bit more here. That's pretty close there. And the one thing I do like about it is, you see, I kind of will hit that bushing just a hair just to get a feel where it's at. And I don't mind doing that with the carbide because diamond, I've got those small little diamond plates I will dig out in one of these videos, but Chad's got one over at Turner's Warehouse on it as well. David Troutman, one of the masters, he's got a great little video where he shows how to sharpen carbide tools. So I'm not going to go over a lot of that. I'll link below if anybody's interested with it. But suffice it to say, all you really need to do is just get a diamond card, a little small one. Pull off your carbide, flip it upside down, a little bit of cutting oil, any oil for that matter, any type of lube. Circle it around for about 10-15 seconds and you've got it resharpened right back down. So let me go ahead now. I'm going to get set up for sanding on this and we will, here we're back. Oh my gosh, it's ready to sand and it's looking pretty good. I'm actually kind of like how it's turning out. It's got a little bit of depth of character to it, so I'm pretty pleased so far with this. I'm not going to argue with it. For a first attempt, that seems to be working just fine. Now what I do with my sanding, I don't know if you can still hear me on this or not. What I do with my sanding, make sure you're still on a recording here. What I do with my sanding, I use 500 grit to start with. And that just helps me do a fine shaping. And then from that, I will move right into normally my Zona paper. I'm not a sponsor, but I swear by it, especially with anything acrylic. Now with these wood hybrids, before going to the Zona, I don't know on this one if I'll do it wet or if I'll put a small CA coating on it first, but kind of play it by ear. And same thing with sanding. I'm one of the rebels. I do everything at full speed. Because again, this is not a Nova or Rikon. Full speed on this is still probably half the speed of a regular lathe. And I'll just come in and with any sanding, of course, keep your sandpaper moving. But I want to point something out that I noticed that a lot of maybe the newer ones may get some use out of this as well. I don't know if you can see it on the blank itself, but you definitely can when I slow it down. See the ridges in that. You see the discolor. That is a great sanding tip to look to see. I know now just by looking at it, that blank is not even. I can feel it as well, but just by looking at it, I can tell I am not even on that blank. So that's why using the sandpaper is really, let it do its thing. Don't put a lot of pressure, but keep it moving and come back and forth on it, and you'll watch that whole blank, you'll lose those shiny spots. Now, those of you that are experienced in pen turning and using especially a CA finish, this is not anything new to you, and you've probably fast forwarded or you've already clicked off on this video and said, heck with this guy. He's repeating stuff I already know, and that's fine. But just in case there's somebody new that's just getting into it and they see that it's a great way to know that you're not quite there yet. And I'm not using a lot of pressure on the sandpaper, just letting the sandpaper do the work itself. And you'll see it's loading up as because for this step, I don't invest in a lot of high quality sandpaper for this step because I go through it quite a bit. What I use there as well is the good old Harbor Freight 500 grit package. Cost me about $3. So it's not a big loss as I'm going through it, but it also allows me to get a decent amount of sandpaper on hand, especially for this step of it, as I use kind of as a final finish to make sure I'm right where I want to be on that. Let's see where we're at there. I'm a little bit thick and proud of those bushings still, but I'm going to be okay with that. I could go back and sand it. Could go back and turn it, but I can also, that's the wood side, so that'll just finish it up. And this lathe could be, I think, just a hair out of round. My points might not be exactly lined up on this one. It's been used quite a bit. And like I said, this is mostly a carry pen for me, as if it gets made into a pen, as a confirmation of my concept on it. So we'll see how she really comes out here once I finish it. Like I said, normally now on the acrylics or my resin blanks, I'd go straight from this. I can feel she's got a little wobble in her. She is out of round on me. So, oh well. I'm not going to worry too much about that at the moment. See where we're at now. Whether it's acrylic, resin, wood, always make sure to do your horizontal sanding against the, with the grain, the opposite from the turning side of it, just to get rid of those micro scratches. Now, normally, like I was started to say, I ramble a little bit, I would normally go right into Zona paper on this, and I do it wet on any of my resins. But I have a hybrid. So with this, I think what I may do is I'm still going to grab some of my Zona paper to get that acrylic as polished as I can. Bear with me one moment. I did not plan far enough ahead to have it out and ready. One moment. And again, Zona paper, I swear by this, not a sponsor, but you can get it on Amazon. I'll put a link down below in the description. It is just your Zona polishing paper. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 grits. They come in these big sheets, double this size. This is double this size. Helps if I put it on camera. And what I normally do is I'll just cut. I haven't used it in a while. I'll just cut some strips off of it, like that, and put it back away. And it's best used wet, but what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to come through the grits just to kind of hit that resin a little bit and get it a little bit polished before putting some CA on the wood. Let's see. You should already start to see a difference in that. And the same thing. Once you hit it, come back through the opposite way to get rid of any of the micro scratches that are on there. And this is clogging up rather quick doing it this way because I'm not doing it wet. But of course, if you do it wet with exposed wood, you now have a soggy blank, and that is not going to be any good at all. Now I'll just continually go through here, all 6 of the grits, and feel on the back side. And I can feel I definitely turned this one out around, which is kind of disconcerting at the moment. So I'm not sure if it's the lathe, if it's my hole I drilled, or if I've got some gunk inside the Morse tapers themselves. So I'm going to have to check on that and see what that is causing that. As you can see, it's already starting now to polish it up, and I may hit it with a little bit of water on one of these final as we go through, just to see. I don't know if you can hear it, but there is definitely a wobble within that blank, so I'm not happy with that at the moment. But it's polishing up pretty good even for dry with the Zona paper, which is just a bigger testament to actually how versatile this Zona paper is. And again, not a sponsor, but this stuff, once I saw Mr. Troutman use it, and it's amazing the first time you use it. If you haven't used it and you're a pen turner, especially on any type of resin or acrylic blank, you definitely want to get your hands on some of this and give it a shot, because it's well worth it. Just going through here, finishing that. Said normally this would be done completely wet on an acrylic blank, but I have wood on this, and I'll probably do a CA finish on it or a friction polish. I just wanted to get the resin part of it kind of polished, and let's see where we're at there. Now that's a pretty good looking blank, actually. I very much like that. I'm going to get this off of the lathe. And let's take a look here. Get it in focus. There we go. So that definitely, I like that. Very uniform. Next one has to be a little bit better on my CNC. So if I got anybody that's really good at CAD and CAM design and uses easel, I'd be happy to hear from you. Give me any tips you may have. But there we go. That is actually one of the blanks turned. And I think that works out fairly well. I don't know about you. Yeah, the polish could be better, I know. I didn't fully go through. This was a concept, but be happy to hear from you. Actually, would love to hear from you. Go ahead and drop a comment in the bottom what you think of this blank style or the ideas that come out of it. I've got a couple more I'll probably turn up throughout the day, and I'll post them either on the Instagram page or over on Facebook as well. But if you got any comments or suggestions on making it better, if it's something you'd be interested in learning how to do, or even picking one of them up, if you've got a custom print you'd like inside of it, shoot me a message. And of course, and I would really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button down at the bottom and hit that little bell over on the side and give me a like on this video, and we'll keep these coming, and we'll see what other projects we can come up with here with the CNC and the lathe, because it's just a great combination, I think. But in any event, I thank you all for watching if you stuck through it this far. And everyone have a great afternoon, have a great day, or have a great evening. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.